Baltimore Circuit Court today, opening arguments were presented in the case of Edward Nero, the second of 6 officers to go to trial over the death of Freddie Gray. Nero was one of 3 bike officers to make Gray's initial arrest after he ran from police after making eye contact. He faces 4 counts, including second-degree assault and reckless endangerment. We spoke to defense attorneys Warren Brown and Doug Colbert to get their response, as well as NAACP-Baltimore president head Tessa Hill-Aston. And the defense says they can prove that Nero never touched Freddie Gray during the arrest, only afterwards.
Well, I think what the prosecution said is that Officer Nero assisted placing Freddie Gray inside the van. And so on the prosecution theory, which is that the arrest should never have taken place, there was no probable cause, then any unlawful touching that would follow would place the officer in criminal jeopardy.
Nero's defense is essentially that by the time he got around there and was told to go get the bike and come back, the search had been done, the cuffs had been placed on, and so he was just helping Freddie Gray look for helping with his breathing, it's his inhaler, that's right.
The prosecution's sending a message, which is there are too many arrests taking place in Baltimore without probable cause. There's only 1 out of 3 people who are being convicted, and so the message to the police is make arrests when you have probable cause.
And the prosecution is arguing this was an illegal arrest. The NAACP was involved in a lawsuit years ago about that issue. Yes. Do you think that is key, and what kind of impact could that have on this?
I think it is definitely an illegal arrest. Based on what I heard and what I've known is that when the police are going to arrest you, they have to make a phone call downtown. They give the person's name and then they get a confirmation number or some kind of paperwork. They never did that. So there was not an arrest. It was an illegal attempted arrest, and Freddie, if he did get arrested, it would have been a non-process because he had nothing on him and the knife he had was legal.
That's a legal argument that'll go back and forth between both sides after weeks and months of research. But these officers are made to make a snap decision at the moment. And so if their thinking is if my decision that's made in a second or two is going to be scrutinized and determined that I made the wrong decision, even though it was a good faith decision on my part.
And some say this could hurt policing because it doesn't give officers the benefit of the doubt.
Well, right now, I'm not concerned about hurting the police. I'm concerned that the police do better. And when they're in the community and the communities that they have to work in, they need to understand that sometimes it's not the best thing to chase somebody. They have lots of people standing on the corner with guns and drugs. They have lots of robberies. They need to be dealing with that.
Give us your response to what the impact could be on policing in Baltimore.
Well, I think you're going to find a reluctance on the part of officers to make arrests if they see that if I'm wrong, if a judge decides or if the prosecution decides that there wasn't probable cause, that I'm going to be prosecuted, well, then I'm just not going to make any arrests.
And so we heard Warren Brown say this could hurt policing because it doesn't give police benefit of the doubt. What's your response to that?
It would, well, I take a different view than Warren Brown on that. I think we have too many arrests that are taking place, and perhaps if the police use more restraint, they would make their cases and their arrests a lot stronger than they are now.
With Cameron Granadino, this is Jess Lenore for The Real News.